here with Elizabeth Williams from Rolls-Royce, and we're driving, or going to drive, the Royce Cullinan. I don't know if you heard the chime, but even the chime sounded elegant.
Yes.
And so this is this a 2019 or 2020 model?
This is a 2019. It actually made its debut at the end of last year, so we're still driving the 2019 models. And yeah, so our first SUV and the first time that Rolls-Royce has done all-wheel drive.
Very cool. Well, it is certainly an elegant vehicle, and it has an amazing road presence.
Yes, it does. Yes, and as all Rolls-Royces do.
And you know, I was kind of, I'll be honest with you, I was a little surprised when I heard that Rolls-Royce was coming out here to this, because this is kind of it's a nasty, dirty off-road event, but yes, I hear it's given a very good account of itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's kind of the first time that we can go actually out and play in a little bit of mud with it.
Well, that's very cool. We appreciate you doing it. It is certainly beautiful, as all Rolls-Royces are. I'm assuming the production is very limited.
Yes, it is. Yes, we have our customers who go to their dealers and place their orders. They started that about a year ago, and our first customer delivery started in December.
Well, I was up at the Indigo Auto Group store not long ago, and they showed me the, I guess, would you call it the Rolls-Royce showroom, or
yes,
where you go and you order your car?
Yes, yes. We call them, you know, the bespoke.
That's the word I was saying, bespoke. Yes.
Yes, where they have all the samples so that you can check out and see exactly how you want to configure yours.
So no two are exactly alike. They're each unique.
Correct. That is very right.
It's like a Savile Row suit. It's
exactly
made for you.
Exactly.
Well, and I see all the indicators and all that. So you're going to have to educate me a little bit. Okay.
Sure.
So is this the shift selector? Or
nope. Your shift is going to be up here on the steering column. However, one really quick thing before we start.
Yes.
It's a very easy system to use. It's a one button. You just hit the off-road button, and it will make all of your selections for power to the different wheels for you as you're driving.
Well, this is pretty amazing, and I have driven other Rolls-Royces. As I told you, I'm kind of a fan of vintage cars, and I've been privileged to drive a number of vintage Rolls-Royces. But this is, other than a Phantom, this is the first modern Rolls-Royce. Now, do I have it in drive?
Yep, you do. So we can go ahead.
Okay, very good. And so what is the powertrain in this thing? I'm assuming it's a pretty powerful vehicle.
So let's go this way to the left.
Alrighty.
This is a 6.75 liter V12 engine. All Rolls-Royces, all modern Rolls-Royces have V12 engines, and that's really to maximize the ride quality, and it really kind of helps give it that effortless experience.
Right. Well, and you know, the 6.75 is the sort of traditional Rolls-Royce power plant. The old one was a V8, but everybody talks about the Rolls-Royce 6 3/4.
Yes.
Well, it certainly rides like a cloud, and of course you would expect that.
Yes, and they were very, very, you know, conscientious about having that magic carpet ride, because Rolls-Royce has always had it on-road, but now they wanted to make sure it applied to the off-road driving as well. Well,
I think you guys are marketing this as kind of a go anywhere, do anything sort of vehicle.
Correct, yes. You know, the tagline for it has been effortless everywhere, and all Rolls-Royces are designed to be effortless, and we want you to be able to take it anywhere.
Well, and you know, if you have a large ranch, or you're a Saudi Arabian oil prince or something like that, I can see it would be the perfect vehicle for you.
Yes, yes.
And I'm assuming that the pricing is determined by how you outfit it. I'm not going to ask the price, because, as my mother used to say, if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it.
Right. But yes, because of the you know, endless bespoke options, you know, there really is, the sky's the limit.
Right. There's really no way to say, well, it cost X, because you know.
Yes.
Well, in the I remember a number of years ago, there was and it's kind of comical now, but there was a gentleman that took a vintage Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow and outfitted it for like off-road road rallying. It had a big snorkel air cleaner and all this crazy stuff on it, and at the time we all kind of laughed at it, but this is really that taken to the extreme, but much more refined and elegant.
Correct. So it may be the first time that we built an SUV and had the all-wheel drive system, but it's not the first time that Rolls-Royces have gone off-road. Back in the World Wars in Europe, Rolls-Royces were actually, you know, commonly used because of their
during World War I, the Silver Ghost was they put tank bodies on Silver Ghosts during World War I.
Exactly, and even you know, Lawrence of Arabia took it through the desert, and
yes,
you know, was, you know,
I think there was some saying he said his Rolls Royce was worth 1,000 camels or something like that.
Yes, you know, worth more than all the rubies
or something like whatever
yes,
he said. He certainly meant it, and as I said, I've been a fan of the brand for forever. I was reading about Rolls Royces when I was a small boy.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate to have some friends that have some vintage Rolls Royces.
Yes, well, Rolls Royce just had its 115th birthday last weekend.
And you know, there's nothing, it doesn't matter which Rolls Royce it is, what era, there is nothing that drives like a Rolls Royce.
That is correct.
And I know that in years past, people would inquire about the horsepower rating, and Rolls-Royce would simply say adequate.
Adequate, yes. We do publish numbers now, but as you can tell from driving, it still is adequate.
And my guess is that probably for most of your customers, that adequate is all they need to know.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and the interesting thing is, these are some pretty rough trails, and of course we've got the camera facing us. But these are some pretty rough trails, and I've driven in a number of different vehicles throughout the day, or through the 2 days, and nothing has had the aplomb of the Rolls-Royce.
Yes. It is definitely not something that you're used to seeing coming through the forest.
And so, production-wise, you're building a few hundred a year or something like that?
Yeah, turn on the 3 left here.
All right.
You know, we really build based on our customer requests and customer orders.
Right.
However, you know, Rolls-Royce is still going to be hand-built, and so our numbers are not ever
And you
going
build,
to be large
what,
volumes.
a few thousand cars a year, maybe?
Correct. You know, last year in 2018, we sold around 4,000 vehicles, and that was globally. And the U.S. is the #1 market. But,
Well, and people that buy a Rolls-Royce, they don't want a vehicle that everybody else drives.
They don't want to see it on every street corner.
When you pull up to the country club or whatever, you want to have the only one.
Yeah.
And if I was of that income level, I'd feel exactly the same way. And it would look perfectly at home beside your jet.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm sure a number of them will be.
Yes.
And, you know, as I said, it's kind of interesting because these are really rough trails, and I would surmise that probably only a handful of these things will ever be put through these sort of conditions.
Correct.
But it's handling it very, very well.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, just because you don't always take your Rolls-Royce off-road doesn't mean you don't want it to be able to do it at any time.
Well, and we have a wealthy friend that has a very large ranch, and occasionally, you know, you may want to go out there and check on how the hay's growing, or look at your cows, or check on your oil well, or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Well, and the paint is beautiful on the car.
Yes, and that's obviously something that Rolls-Royce, you know, really prizes and, you know, prides themselves on being able to have that amazing paint finish.
Well, I know that Rolls-Royces have always been noted for the leather work in the cars as well, and it's
Yes.
certainly spectacular.
Yes.
I mean, the leather looks flawless.
Yeah, and that's really, you know, because every car is hand-built, you have that attention to detail. You've got the eye that can pick out any imperfections and make sure that they never make it into your Rolls-Royce.
And though you can't see it because of the camera, but we have the Spirit of Ecstasy on the
Yes.
front of the car, right where she belongs.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We'll take go left here and go around this tree, actually.
Okay.
Oh,
Is that a good
or
one?
no, you can go straight down here.
Okay. You wanted me to... Oops. Whoops. Well, I see why you wanted me to go to the left. Sorry about
That's
that.
all right.
Okay, direct me now where I'm going.
Going to the right now.
To the right. Okay. See, I'm not good at following directions. Well, the interior is just beautiful. I love the appointments. I love the way the dash looks. The dash just looks like maybe some sort of a LED display or something.
Yeah, so it is a digital display. However, you still have, you know, the look of the old analog dials.
Yes, it's very vintage and very traditional looking.
And there's a, you know, kind of an element of aviation that kind of is inspired.
And maybe even a little maritime too,
Yeah.
like you would see on a yacht, perhaps.
Yes, yes.
Well, I noticed that unlike a lot of vintage Rolls Royces, I don't really see any woodwork, but this looks like maybe carbon fiber or something.
No, this is actually a tooled leather.
Ah.
So there are some small wood pieces in here. However, this one just doesn't happen to be.
Wasn't ordered that way, but if you
ordered that
chose
way.
to have it that way, you certainly
Absolutely.
could. Yes. Well, it drives like a cloud. And I have a friend that you took for a ride on Monday who is actually a Rolls-Royce prospect, and he was
Okay.
very impressed with it.
Well, that's good.
He's still
I'm glad.
talking about it a couple of days later, so who knows? Maybe he'll order one.
Well, that sounds great.
Well, and as I said, it's really fun that y'all brought this out here, and it's really unique to see it in this environment. And again, I'm really impressed with how well it does. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it, but when we heard that Rolls-Royce was coming, I mean, I thought, well, they're going to put this thing on static display. It'll sit up there polished, and there'll be a man saying, "Don't touch." And instead, you've allowed us to drive it and take it on the trails and things, and I think that's just amazing.
Absolutely. We, you know, the modern Rolls-Royce is for enjoying, not just to sit there and look at.
Well, and people use these cars.
They
you
do.
know? Well, I would love to have some more seat time on the highway at some point, so who knows, maybe that'll happen.
Yeah.
And the Rolls-Royce lineup now it consists of the Phantom, the Cullinan, and the Ghost.
We also have the Ghost. We also have Wraith and Dawn.
Wraith and Dawn.
Yes.
And the Wraith and Dawn, the long wheelbase cars, bigger cars, or?
No. So the Wraith is the two-door fastback coupe.
Got you.
And the Dawn is our convertible.
Aha.
Yes.
And I think they used to call did they call the convertible?
We used to have a Phantom convertible.
Phantom convertible, yeah.
We used to have a Phantom coupe and a Phantom convertible. However, once we launched the 8th generation Phantom about a year and a half ago, we decided to have that strictly as a saloon and have Dawn as our convertible and Wraith as our.
The engine is, I mean, buttery smooth. And I've got to tell you, the only thing that I could compare it to is perhaps an electric car in terms of smoothness and refinement.
Yes.
Really wonderful driving car. Well, I mean, how can you criticize a Rolls-Royce? I wouldn't dare.
Right, yes.
Well, thank you so much for allowing us to drive it and bringing it, and it is absolutely spectacular. And, if you're looking for a bespoke motor car that will pretty much go anywhere and do anything, well, you need to go look at the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. I would certainly like to have one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome.